What time is it, my creatives? That's right, it's photo hacking time, and today I'm going to teach you how to create a vintage effect over your photo. Now, this is an original photo I have taken from Six Flags, so I'm going to link in the description of how you can get this photo. And then there's also this dust texture here that's going to be included in the tutorial files, which is going to be on my blog. So you can hop over to Photohacklovers.com. Please don't forget to like and subscribe and ring my bell, 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 ring my bell, so you can get notifications. Yes, I just sung a song. But anyways, I digress. So let's go ahead and make this vintage hot mess right here. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to straighten out this photo. So in order to get the same size layout here as this photograph, we're going to press Ctrl-Z. We're going to go to File, New, and press Create. Now this just creates a artboard that is the same size as my picture. Then press Ctrl-V. So you just copy and paste the picture right in there. Okay, so in order to straighten this out, what we're going to do is we're going to use the Edit Perspective Warp tool. So we're going to go to Edit, and then we're going to go to Perspective Warp. Then you're going to place these little doohickey things like right where you want to warp your little item. And like so. And once you have them all set there, you just click on the button Warp. Now, it doesn't really noticeably do anything, so you have to just know that now you can just like click and drag this. And you're just gonna click and drag to the desired area of where you want your item. And this may take a little time of getting it situated. So there we go. Okay, drag that down just a little bit more. Okay, that looks about right. So if you like what you have, you can press the check mark. Press OK, and then it will just fix it. Now we still need to fix this a little bit more. So I'm going to press Ctrl-T to bring up my transform control little doohickey. And we're just going to just move it over to the right side. And we're going to press Shift. And we're going to drag. So this is going to just make this a little bit bigger. And what we want is we want it like right about there. And then I'm going to just press Control click this time and kind of like nudge it this way to the corner. And that way it looks a little bit like how I want it. So I'm going to do something really destructive here, and I just need this little edge here to be fixed. So I'm going to get the stamp tool and I'm just going to stamp it on up. Yeah, just drag and just pull. Sample and just pull. I'm just pressing, I got the stamp tool selected, I'm pressing Alt and then dragging up. I'm sampling, Alt, sample, and then drag up. So that should be all fixed there. Now we're going to go to Filter, Sharpen, Smart Sharpen, and just copy the settings that I have here. And then once you're done, you just press OK. Alright, so you should have something like this, and you just let it do its thing. Now we're going to duplicate this layer. Press OK. And then we're going to do a gradient pink and green blend. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a new layer. We're going to lock this one just in case we screw up or something. And we are going to do a gradient blend. So I don't have one that is ultimately selected. I don't know what happened to the one that I created, but it's basically pink. So you just double click in here to bring up your gradient palette. And we're going to choose like a really bright salmon pink. Like it's almost like an orangish pink, and then a green. Okay. Whoops. Okay, and press OK. Then you should be able to drag down like so. And then we're going to do a soft light. And it's going to be a fill right about there. 63% looks good. That looks really, really good. So now we're going to do a Control-Shift-Alt-E. And that just kind of like duplicates this with all the layers intact. We're going to go to Image, Adjustments. We're going to go to Black and White. And we're going to make that black and white. Then we're going to go to Image, Adjustments, Levels. And bump up the blacks, bump up the whites. So it kind of looks like that. And then once you do that, we're going to do a blend mode of multiply and bring it down about 30%. Okay, so that looks good, just like that. So we're already starting to get some vintagey look there, okay? So once you've done that, okay, so now we're going to just create a new layer. And we're going to create our own little kind of gradient, but not so much. So we're going to do like an orange. And press Control-Delete. Just going to bring that down a little bit. And then I want yellow for the middle. And then blue for the bottom. And then we're just going to press Filter, Blur, Gaussian Blur. Should look like something like that. And then we're going to blend that together. So we're going to choose. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to do a blend mode of color dodge and leave it at 26%, and you should have something that looks like this. Got it? Okay, so we're going to do another one like this, but it's not a gradient. It's just to bring some yellow back in here. So see these little lights here? We're going to give it some highlights there to make it look like it's at night or something like that. So, I mean dusk. Whoopsies. Okay, so I'm going to create a new layer, and I'm just going to drag the marquee out, and we're going to select this color. It's E4F477, and press OK, and then press Control-Delete, and we're going to do a blur, filter, blur, Gaussian blur, and we're going to put the blend mode down to about 25. Actually, it kind of looks good at around 52%. So we'll leave it like that. Okay? Okay, so what you're going to do now is you're going to create a new layer. And you're going to get a soft edge brush, And I have this color selected. It's 862905. And you're just going to brush really lightly right in here. And then you go to Filter, Blur, Gaussian Blur. Press OK. And then we're going to do a blend mode of Lighten. And we're just going to bump that down just a little bit. You see how that's giving it kind of like a three-dimensional vintagey look? Okay. Okay, we're going to do the same thing but with a white brush. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a new layer. And with the white selected, it's not completely white. It's F5, F8, E5. It's kind of like off-white. And we're just going to do a loose brush scrub, just like that. Then go to Filter, Blur, Gaussian Blur. Press OK. And now we're going to do a blend mode of Hard Light. And take the fill down a little bit. So we're kind of getting that dusk till dawn look right there. And I'm just going to go back to this layer because I think these blues are too bright. So I'm just going to bump it down by just erasing a little bit. So that is what we have so far. It's looking really, really, really good and really vintagey. Okay, so now we're going to press Control-Shift-E. Okay. And we're going to go to Image, Auto Tone. And that's just going to brighten it up a little bit. So that looks super, super freaking vintagey. Okay, so once you've done that, let's duplicate the layer. And then we're going to go to Image, Adjustments, Hue, and Saturation. We're going to bump up the saturation a little bit with the lightness, just like that, to kind of give it that vintagey, kind of like haze effect, I guess. And then we're going to go to Lighten. Well, let's choose a different blend mode. Darker color, no. Okay, Lighten. Okay, that looks pretty good. Alright, so now we're going to go to Image, Adjustments, and go to Color Balance, and we're just going to move up the midtones only just a smidge, just like that, okay? Okay, and now we're going to add the dusty texture on top. So we're going to press Control A, Control C, and we're going to go back to, don't forget to stop by my website for the resources if you don't have them. Press Control V, and you're going to press Control T to rotate that mother, and you're going to just make it as big as the picture. Try not to get these shitty edges here. Oops, I just cussed. Don't tell YouTube. Okay. And then we're going to do... No, I don't like that one. Lighten is too light. How about screen mode? Lighten screen. Okay, there. You can see the textures a lot better. So that looks pretty good. But I think I'm going to flip this around. So you might want to flip around your textures to the way that it looks the best. And so that's it. That is the end of the tutorial. I hope you like this. I put it in kind of a way where I used basic steps instead of the more complicated ones, because I know that a lot of my viewers are beginners at Photoshop, so I kind of like modified it to way we're not doing like really difficult things. So that's the before and that's the after. So as you can see, the version that I just did is a little bit different than the other one, and that's because you can never get the gradients to match up and whatnot. Now you can continue from here and just do other edits on here. Like, I know if I just take this bottom one here and I drag it all the way to the top, and I go to image adjustments and I go to black and white and I choose tint. It's going to make a sepia. And then you can do another filter from here. And that looks like a really cool vintage effect too. That's really neat looking. And just play with the blend modes. Now I really like this one. This is kind of like pastel-y. That looks really oldish. But you can turn the layers on and off to see the difference. It kind of like makes it a little bit darker, the pen light. I don't like hard mix. You just have to play with the blend modes and find something that looks good. That looks really old and vintagey right there. Hue, saturation, color, luminosity. You can also change the fill here. That looks pretty decent. And then a layer, image adjustment, photo filter. And add a photo filter on it as well. So they just have different varied results. You can take layers from the bottom and layer to the top and create a more weird vintagey look too as well. That looks pretty interesting. So you can do all kinds of things and get really, really creative with this. And just play with the blend modes and have fun with it. This is all experimentational for me. I had a lot of photos that I wanted to add like a vintagey type feel to it. So, you know, from Six Flags, from this photo, I wanted to, because in my mind I envisioned it looking like really vintagey. And I created a couple of different effects here too as well. So, I mean, you can get creative, do whatever your heart's desires. This is a lot of fun, and I hope you guys like this tutorial. Thanks so much for watching, guys.